You tell me when you're ready.
All right, I'll do a quick introduction for you.
Okay.
All right, hello everyone. Welcome to Travel Hacking. I'm really excited for this event. That's why I all wanted you to join. But I'm so happy that you will speak today because I want to travel the world still. So I'm very happy for that. Tonight we will have fuck up nights. It's going to be really fun. It will start around 7:30. So be there at 7. I think most of you already have the tickets. And if you want to join for that event, you can also buy it at the door. And yeah, we shared everything on Facebook, so you can find information there. And Terry, it's your time now.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Before we get started, I just would like to ask a question. How many of you before this presentation had heard of the word travel hacking? Some of you have, some of you haven't. Okay. So, all right, well, let me go over now. Here's what we're going to be going over today. What is travel hacking? Location, location, location. Just like in real estate, where you live and where you want to go to is going to be determining what kind of a strategy you want to have. We're going to talk about the many different strategies to circumnavigate the art of travel hacking. And we're going to talk about how you keep track of the plethora of information that you are now going to be managing. It's interesting to me because I got an obsession with this. I learned about it just November will be 4 years that I've been into this. And when I started, it's like all I did for 3.5 months. It was my obsession, my learning, and now that I'm utilizing it, it's wonderful. My new thing now is cryptocurrency, so I'm on to the next thing, but this one's working just fine. All right. So what makes me qualified to do this? So as I mentioned, I started just about 4 years ago. I was planning on taking a trip for a competition, and I found out that my 160,000 Delta miles were going to get me maybe to Dallas and back. I mean, I hadn't heard about devaluation and all this kind of stuff. So that's when I started reading and hearing about this and dove in full force. So since I started this, I have taken a round trip first class ticket on Virgin Australia with lay down seats, a $90, $100 ticket for free. I stayed there for 6 weeks for free with points and miles. Okay. I spent 10 days in Copenhagen and Stockholm for free with points. I am currently here. This is I don't know how many. I'm on an around the world trip that started in Minneapolis in the United States in June. And I went through Europe, and I'm now here, and I'm ending up in Vail, Colorado, where I'll teach skiing this winter. So it's not all about warm weather, guys. All right, so what is travel hacking? Travel hacking is the art and science of getting these airline and hotel points without purchasing airline tickets or hotel rooms. Now, that's not to imply that there is no cost. There was a period of time in this hobby where I was actually making $700 a month and getting the free miles. But as these opportunities evolve, obviously banks start to shut them down. So, that was for a while. But there is a nominal cost, but I average it out to be about 10 cents on the dollar on average. Now, the value of a point is very, very fluid. Think of points and miles as a commodity. Just like the stock market, all right? And you can acquire those commodities, those points and miles, at a broad range of points. And the big key is how you redeem them. So many people now, the airline, there's some high percentage of miles that are never get used. So the companies that deliver the miles are now trying to get you to buy products and stuff with it. Well, I assure you that if you are buying products with your miles and points, you're getting no more than 50% of the value that you would get if you use them on points. So you really want to think about using these points for travel. All right, so as I mentioned, it's location, location, location. Because the first thing that you're going to decide when you say you don't just decide to travel hack, as I did it wrong. You want to decide where it is you want to go. Let's say you live in Nice, France, and you decide that you want to come to fly into Denpasar and spend some time in Bali. Well, what you're going to do is you're going to research, and there's a ton of tools out there. I really like Google Flights for what it's worth, the Google search engine. It keeps getting better and better. And you're going to find out what airlines go there, and then you're going to research like how many points does it take to get there from the different airlines. Because one of the things that's really fascinating to me, when, for example, when I was booking my ticket from Nice, France to here, and I wanted to buy a business class ticket, and I searched, I have, like a stock portfolio, I have points with a variety of different programs, and when I went to see what it was going to cost, the range was everywhere from 70,000 points through American, which was on Qatar, which is actually first class for a lay-down seat, which is what I took. But some of my other points programs, they wanted 300,000 points for the same ticket. So like everything in commodities, you do want to diversify because of course you're planning this first trip, but then there's going to be another trip. So you want to make sure that you're collecting points in programs that have flexibility. Some of them, they can transfer the airline miles to 21 different airlines. We'll go over that in a little bit. But the key is determining, you know, from where you're traveling from and where you're going to and what airlines go. That's a better approach to take to this than the way I did it. But you're here to learn from my mistakes. Okay, so let's start with strategy number one. And before I get into this, I want to mention, everything I am talking about here is from the perspective of an American. And everything that I have read has told me that America is the top of the food chain for credit card sign-up bonuses. Apparently, in other countries, they either aren't as prevalent or they aren't as lucrative, and I don't profess to understand all of those. So my approach to this today is to help you identify the strategy and what it is. But just like when I started, everything I read online was based in Los Angeles or New York, and I was in Minneapolis in the middle of the country, and so a lot of it wasn't relevant. So I'm going to teach you strategies, but you're going to have to do your own research and figure out, well, what does it work for me based on where I live and where I'm going and a myriad of other things. So the number one strategy is credit card sign-up bonuses. And how many of you don't know what that is? Does anybody not know what that is? Okay, so you sign up for a credit card and they give you X number of points. And the value of those points, again, some give you 40,000, 50,000, 25,000. To say that the 50,000 point sign-up bonus is better than the 25,000 sign-up bonus isn't necessarily fair because, again, it's the value at which you redeem them. So if Starwood charges you 30,000 points a night for one of their hotel rooms, well then this right here isn't even going to get you a night in one of their hotels. But if the United Miles gets you, for 50,000 points, you can fly round trip on an international airline ticket, well, that may be a better value too. So again, where are you going and how are you going to use the points? But so there's a myriad of ways to do that with all these cards. Now, what's in my wallet? So this is actually old. I probably now have about 24 open credit card accounts. Organization is key, all right?
God help you.
Huh?
God help you.
I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you my wonderful credit score. So that's the key, and you should always, at all times, to be really playing in this game, be working towards a credit card sign-up bonus. So every time you do that, they say, okay, we'll give you the 40,000 points, but you have to spend X amount of dollars. Well, I guarantee you, I don't spend as much money as all of these credit cards might cause you to believe, and we'll talk in a little bit about manufactured spending and how you create spend that you're not really spending. So, you know, this is a key component to it. I will show you in my spreadsheet in a little bit how to date I have accumulated over 917,000 points just doing this. All right? So, as we've talked about, you're going to start with your destination and what airlines you're going to fly on. Some people recommend that you sign up for many airline travel systems, award points for many different airlines, because they're constantly doing promotions. And there's constantly times when you can get points on an airline for doing nothing but clicking on something or posting on Twitter or sharing something on Facebook. So anyway, you're going to figure out which cards you want to start with. Here is the most important part of all of this, and that is to make sure that you pay your balances on time, in full, each month. Because if you don't pay your credit cards in full and you start then getting late fees and accruing that, not only is that going to wipe out any of the gains you got in the points, but now you're hurting your credit score. So, and I'll show you how I keep track of this and how I'm able to track that number of cards and paying them. I'm not using them all, but that's a whole nother subject. There are also many credit cards that have no annual fees, and those are great cards to have, even if you don't get a credit card sign-up bonus, for the simple reason that your credit score, we'll go over that in a minute, is based on part of your score is the history of the average length of time that you have a credit card. So if you have a bunch of credit cards that are free and you may or may not even use them, but you keep them open, that's really helping your credit score. So anytime you can, or some of them have like a fee or no fee the first year and then a fee the second year, and you can certainly start out that way and then decide if you want to keep it or not. Here, so you'll pay the sign-up bonus. I do this every year with my Barclay card arrival card. The first year's free, and then when it comes time for the $89 annual fee, I close the account, and then 6 months later, I'll open it up again, which is called credit card churning, which we'll talk about it again in a minute. So the key with this, and the way I've accumulated all the points I have, is now, and I'm going to preface this, while I was in the United States, which I haven't been now for almost 5 months, I was always working on a minimum spend. I was always working off the sign-up bonus on a new card and then going on to the next one. You got to be mindful of some of them, they never expire. Some of them, you just need to make a 2-cent purchase on that credit card in 2 years and the points will stay. So, you know, the rules with all of these are always changing. And the other thing I say, this hobby, or this game, if you want to call it, is akin to whack-a-mole. Does everybody know what whack-a-mole is? Okay, so you know, this, oh my God, this is really great. And then the whole world starts flooding it. And then the banks realize, oh my God, we're making money, or we didn't realize this was going to be a problem. And then they shut it down. And then there's another one. And there is an enormous community online of people like me that some people make a living doing this. I don't, but some people are professional travelers just playing this game. So, but if you're a travel hacker like I am and just want to get the tickets between the, you know, I'm still working my day job and the money's still coming in the bank, this is a wonderful strategy to just basically get all of your travel expenses paid for, which, I didn't finish my sentence, but I started in Minneapolis. Oh, and I did tell you that, never mind. Senior moment. All right, so the question I'm always asked, and by the way, feel free to raise your hand, you know, I like this to be more interactive. And I'm really looking for input from people who are not from the United States, because I'm only giving you one perspective and a strategy, but I'm sure there are opportunities in other countries that I don't know anything about yet. And I want to learn from you. Okay, so as of this few days ago, this is my credit score, all right? I don't know how many of you, I don't know if they have the same system in other countries, but the high for us in the United States is 850. So, you know, I got all these credit cards and managing all this stuff, and I have an excellent credit rating. So anybody that tells you that having credit cards is a bad thing, I'm proof that that's not true. Now,
Hey, just a quick question.
Sure.
You were talking about always paying your credit card. What is your comment around just setting up with an auto pay from someplace? So.
You can certainly do that. That's perfectly fine if that's how you want to do it. Yes, you can do it. And for a variety of reasons, I haven't done it. I've scheduled all the payments in my bank account because I have 2 checking accounts, and sometimes I want to pay it from one versus the other. But yeah, you can do it as an auto pay. And I would recommend that you schedule it again a day or 2 before. And it has something to do, I'm not totally clear on this, but apparently your amount of outstanding credit that you're using of your credit line is taken, if you pay your payment in full, not on the date that it's due, but on the closing date. So when, which usually your closing date's about 5 or 6 days before the new card gets issued. And that's a better time to pay your bill, because what that does is it reduces the amount of the credit line you're using, and therefore will improve your credit score. I've not been religious about that, but it's a strategy. If you are, there are some people doing this who just are very worried about their credit scores and how it's going to impact them. So if that's the case, then pay your credit.
You mentioned a day or 2 before the close date. Why that versus just on the close?
Well, on the close date. That's yes, that's fine.
Is it some national US system with the credit score? All the banks are pulling together the...
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this will give you a little bit of history of what happened. So up until November of last year, when I kind of started my digital nomad life but was still in the country, I was still applying for credit cards. And you can see my credit score was hovering around 760. And then I didn't apply for them for a while. And this is where I applied for 2 cards right before I left the country. And you can see what happened. And as you can see, I haven't applied for a card since I left in June. So now you see that my credit score is just going up. So when you apply for a credit card, it will take a hit, but it will only take a hit for like a month. And then it just comes back, because I had literally no credit card activity in between other than using them and paying them off in here. So the score went up. All right. So what determines your FICO score, which is what it's referred to in the United States? And so basically, and I want to show you, the 2 biggest determinants of that are the amount that you owe. In other words, try and keep your utilization of your credit line as low as you can, and your payment history. That is the #1 criteria, which is why I keep Oh, I have to turn my Wi-Fi on. So here's where we get into the intricacies of where you live in the world and what cards are available. And so in a lot of instances now, what I'm going to be doing is giving you references of websites that you can go to that often publish this kind of stuff. And this is a case where I got to tell you, Google is your best friend, because whatever you want to learn or know, somebody else wants to know it too. So there's a lot of references. But this is an article that I found, and I'm going to be giving you a URL at the end with links to all of these things. So it changes. Again, we're back to whack-a-mole, and it changes every year. So here happens to be an article where they talk about the different cards, and some have no annual fee, what the value is of the sign-up bonus. Oh, you aren't seeing this. Hello. I need to change. Okay, there we go. Now you can see it. Okay, and there'll be a new one for 2018 and a new one for 2019 and all that kind of stuff. So, but these give you ideas, and it tells you they all have different values. The ongoing points, 2 miles per dollar. I'm a big fan of the Capital One Venture Card. Chase Sapphire Preferred, which is a oh, this is actually old information, but So they all have different sign-up bonuses, different annual fees. It's a function of where you live and where you want to go and all of those kinds of really fun things.
Very quick question.
Sure.
So, for credit cards with annual fees, do you utilize those, or do you really try to focus on the no annual?
There are some with annual fees that are almost a profit. In fact, that's becoming more and more common in the cards that charge a $450 annual fee. And I think the Chase Sapphire Preferred, the new one that came out, they not only did it cost you $450, but they gave you instantly a $300 travel bonus. So if you bought an airline ticket, they would just apply that $300 bonus to the ticket. They also offered you free, what's the GO plan, the international get into the country, the $100 Clear, thank you, or something like Clear. They gave you that for free, plus the points that you earned. So it's, you look at a $450 card and you think, oh my God, that's too much money. But at the end of the day, it's actually profitable. What they're banking on is that you're going to continue to use that card for all of your purchases, and they're going to make the money back on the interest they get paid when you buy from the merchant, when you buy with that card. So no, definitely don't stay away from annual fee cards, but now we get back to what is the redemption value. So if I spend the $450, what am I getting back out of it? And okay, does that answer your question? Yeah. Okay. So here's strategy number 2, which I talked about, which was credit card churning. I really missed out big on this one because the banks have caught on to all of these people that do this, and they're making it harder and harder to do it. Amex definitely, and Chase both, will only give you the reward once. So if you close the card and sign up again, you can get the card, but you're not going to get any extra points, okay? Chase, now Chase is an interesting. Now I think Chase has got a global presence, does it not? It does have a global presence, okay. My recommendation to people getting into this hobby is that they start with Chase cards. And the reason for that is Chase is the only bank that has what they call the 524 rule. And that rule is that if you have applied for more than 5 credit cards in the last, more than 5 credit cards in the last 24 months, they won't even, that alone, you're done. They won't even look at your application. And the Chase Rewards program, which is Chase Ultimate Rewards, is known as an incredibly valuable program because there's a couple parts to it. First of all, your Chase points can be transferred to like 21 different airline partners. So having a program like that where you have flexibility in where the miles can go obviously gives you more flexibility. Also, if you buy your ticket through their Chase portal as opposed to buying it on Expedia or one of the other online travel agencies, you get 25% reduction or points back or reduction in the points used. So I always encourage people to go to Chase first, figure out which card is going to be best for you. Now, if you want to use them for travel miles, and now several of them are just cash back. And, in some instances, a cash back card, that's fine too. That's cash back that you can spend on travel. So, that you might want to do that in some instances. With Chase, when you use their program, the only way that you can transfer the points to the other airlines or redeem them for travel points for travel is if you have the Chase Inc. business card, which is $95 a year, or you have the Chase Sapphire Preferred, which is $450 a year. So, so again, those are one of those 2 cards you're going to want to have because otherwise you can't convert your points into travel. You can only redeem them as cash. So, the 2 cards or the 3 cards actually, that have been very fruitful for churners are the Barclay Arrival card. And there was just a report last week, there's rumors spreading that they're stopping people from reapplying, but none of that's confirmed, but I'm letting you know. Alaska Airlines is notorious. People seem to sign up for a new card every 3 or 4 months, and they're churning it like crazy. They close it, they go get another card, and those points you can transfer to Delta Airlines. So, you know, you can travel internationally with that card. And then the Capital One Venture Card, which I like very much. The Capital One and the Barclay Arrival are very similar cards, and what I've been doing is keeping one open and then swapping them out for the other card and just keep getting the sign-up bonus. So that's also another strategy, and it is a part of how I have accumulated those miles. And lest you be, at this point, completely overwhelmed with, how am I going to keep track of all this stuff, we're going to go into that. Okay, it's not as hard as it looks. All right, so speaking of which, so now this is a spreadsheet that I developed. I am more than happy. I have a template of this that I share with people if they want to do their own tracking. It's not mine, obviously, but this is what I've developed. And what I do is I'm keeping track. Oh, I haven't talked about personal and business cards. Usually, if a credit card is offered in both a personal and a business version, I get both. I am self-employed. I have my own business. I've heard reports that people can make up the name of a business or start operating a business and you get a business card. But I've definitely been working it from both the business and the personal card perspective. But what I'm tracking on each of them is what's my credit limit, what's my first year fee, what's my annual fee, what date did I open it, what's the expiration date. So I'm constantly keeping the expiration dates in front of me to see, you know, do I want to renew it? Do I, you know, what's my status on it? And I keep track of the sign-up bonuses and what the spend requirements are. So every time I take out a new card, it gets added to here, and as soon as I meet, and then in bright red, I flag, okay, which card am I trying to work down right now? And once I've met my minimum spend, I cross it off, and then I go on to the next card. But anyway, so this is, and then, you know, what are all the benefits? And we'll talk about multipliers in a minute. Some cards give you more points for using it at gas stations or at grocery stores or at office supply stores. So you also, I mean, when I go to a store, I determine, okay, which of my cards is going to give me 5x, and that's the credit card that I use. All right. I'm not crazy. There's a lot of people like me out there. There's a lot of people. I learn most of this stuff from other people online. So, all right. So as you can see, so what I'm tracking is my whole history here. So what this is telling me is that right now with my open cards, I have acquired 315,000 sign-up bonus points and miles. And then anytime I close one, I literally cut it from here and I paste it down here, because this also tells me when did you open and close your cards in case you want to open a second one, because some of them you can apply again in 6 months, sometimes a year, sometimes 2 years, so I know the whole history. And here you have that of my closed cards, I got 602,450 points, and this is now what I've acquired through sign-up bonuses. And I really didn't have to leave home to do it. I didn't have to get an airplane. I didn't have to stay in a hotel room. So it's very lucrative. When you think about the fact that when you pay for your ticket, when you pay for your travel with points, all right? Those points are before tax dollars. So what does that mean? It means that you didn't have to earn the money and then pay the tax on the money and then use that money to pay for your trip. So whatever your tax bracket is, by playing this game, you're basically saving yourself 10, 20, 30, 40% on taxes because you're paying for it with points that are not taxable. You look puzzled. You're just working it in your head. Okay. So, I mean, So there, again, what is a point worth? How, what's your income bracket? Where are you going to spend it? How are you going to spend it? What are you going to, all those kinds of things. So there's a lot of variables that you are going to keep in mind there. So let's go. Okay, so we went through my spreadsheet. Okay. All right. I've mentioned before about the credit card multipliers, and I'll go to this article in a minute, which explains it in greater depth. Here's an example of what I was talking about. If I'm going to be at a grocery store, I'm going to pick out, well, I don't have all of these cards, but if, for example, I have a family and I spend a lot of money on food, I'm going to want to make sure that I have a credit card that has a good multiplier on groceries, if that's where my spend is. So this gives you an idea that literally every credit card has what they call multipliers by categories. And so there again, where do you spend your money and where do you get the most value out of it? So let's take a look here at I didn't mean to quit that. Okay, so, and again, this is in the notes that I'm sending you with links, so you can come back and reference here. But I think this does a really good job of outlining kind of, so here, this is a good example. So this is an example of an annual budget, and these tend to be the categories that have bonus multipliers. Grocery stores, dining, gas, cell phone. So picking out the category where you spend the most money and then getting a card that gives you multiple points. That multiplies how fast you get your points on your normal, regular spend. Forget manufacturing spending, forget credit card sign-up bonuses. That's just getting the most points you can out of your daily life. And so they ran some numbers here and compared how if you put all those expenses on these different cards, how it would end up. But so basically what they've done is, so if you did all of that just on American Express, your rewards are $374. Oh, I'm sorry, if you use the multiplier, so if you use this for the cash back, if you use this for restaurants, if you use, depending on what the multiplier is, now you dramatically increase the dollar value of the points that you're getting. So remember, back to it's a commodity. It's what does it cost you to acquire the points versus what is the redemption value. So again, you want to pay attention to what is your annual budget, how do you spend your money, and based on whatever those bigger numbers are, make sure you get credit cards that are in alignment with category bonuses. The Chase business card is a really good one because the Chase credit card gives you 5 points for every dollar that you spend at office supply stores. So I'll go to the office supply store and I'll buy their Amazon gift cards, which means I'm getting 5, and I'll load it onto Amazon, and that means I'm getting 5 points for every dollar I'm spending at Amazon. Does everybody get that? So office supply stores sell a lot of these gift cards, and if you buy them at a store, and the same with grocery stores. Grocery stores sell a lot of gift cards as well. So just find one that is representing the merchant that you buy the most at and get the most out of your purchases. Okay.
Terry?
Yes.
Just while you're loading,
Sure.
I know that, and I know you've already said this about this is American-based, and I know there's maybe 3 Americans here, but I definitely know that most of the people here are not Americans, and maybe some of the people here may not even have credit cards. But the one thing I'd say in Asia is American Express is like a disaster. And I've lived overseas for 30 years.
Okay.
And it's accepted in Singapore, Japan, Korea, but it's very difficult in a lot of places, and a lot of places won't even accept Amex. So just as a perspective on the Amex thing, that's it's a complicated one. So things more with Visa and
MasterCard.
have much better, wider acceptance as you get out of when you're in Asia and things like that.
Well, and it's interesting that you say that because the Amex program, Chase has their ultimate reward points, and American Express has what's called their membership rewards points. It's just their own, and you can redeem those points for a variety of different things. When I did my research, American Express wasn't very highly revered. The Chase was much better. So I actually have spent very little energy on Amex cards at all. If I do get an Amex card, and something to consider. So for example, Amex offers a Hilton card. And in fact, when I leave here, I am going down to the south of the island and spending a week at the Bali Hilton 5-star resort for nothing. I'm just using the miles and staying there for a week. So if the only way I would say to get Amex cards is if it's branded like Hilton, or I'm trying to think who some of the others they partner with. So you do, I hope you know that when you get a card, there's usually a bank affiliated with it. So these airlines, Amex will co-brand with different airlines and offer their cards. Chase does, Marriott, and they do Southwest Airlines. And so again, pay attention to branded, travel branded sites, not only just the bank, like American Express. But I haven't spent a lot of time, and American Express was the very first company to come out and say, we'll only give you your sign-up bonus once. So they're on to all of this. Another one that's interesting, and I do want to make a point, by the way, as it relates to US. And I've had this conversation with quite a few people since I've been here, one of them being Joe here. And that is, it's not impossible to establish a US address if you've got family or friends there, and there's nothing to say that you can't set up an address and a bank account, which is what you would need in the US, and then you can do all this stuff.
I have a point on that.
Okay.
I'm from Italy. I lived in the U.S. since I was 18. I wasn't able to get a credit card until 2 years ago, when my salary was 4 times my rent and like crazy stuff like that. Because most bank accounts do not care or know your credit if you have another credit card from a different
country.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly. So,
right.
And usually, if you're a student, especially, you can't.
The student, right, that would make total sense. And I understand from a student's perspective, but I have to believe if you're an adult coming over and saying, you know, I'm moving to the States, and you get a friend or family member with their address, and you just go in and open a bank. I've done that. Well, of course, I'm an American opening a bank account in another state.
But it's difficult. Yeah, and I'm, you know, I have bank accounts in 3 countries, and I'm an American, and there's certain things that I can't even do in the U.S. because I'm not a permanent resident. So the residency issue is a very big part of
This topic,
establishing.
right.
So it might be possible, and I do have a U.S. address, but it can be difficult at times. So I think identifying the opportunities
Where
in
you
your
are.
home country and where you are can be. But even setting up a bank account in Indonesia is hard unless you have a KITAS. So just because you're here, most people can't even set up a bank account here, and then that means you can't get a local credit card. So it gets tricky at times when you're out, you know, of the place that you're permanently resided, you know, and not having the right.
And then there are us digital nomads who don't have a permanent residence.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Actually, I had the same thing in Australia. I couldn't have a credit card before I had my permanent residency.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's, I'm guessing it's pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, post 9/11, they've kind of changed
That's right.
the requirements to open accounts, especially with like money laundering and that kind of stuff. So they're a little bit more, you know, like.
Okay, which makes sense, and that's why, as I've said, I'm explaining this as a strategy, but you're going to have to do your own research and find your your group, your community, because there is. I mean, when I went online and started researching, there were some really interesting groups. This was, of course, it's changed over the years, but there are quite a few private communities where people like myself are sharing all of this, and it was by region. And I am confident that if you go to wherever your country is and Google travel hacking Indonesia or wherever, that you will find your community with whom to share ideas. And I am very grateful for the people that have just shared so much knowledge with me. So again, you got to do your homework and seek it out. Another one, and again, well, I'm not even going to recommend this card, the Chase Freedom, which gives you 5x. They give you 5x every quarter on different, I suppose I should start the play from the current slide. They give you different benefits from different cards for different, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and they do it kind of that kind of thing. So if you take advantage of that, so that's, again, be careful about the cards and look at the multipliers and how the value of it when you redeem them, because again, it's a commodity and its value is unique to everybody.
Does anyone know if these places like around here who would actually pay attention to the categories? If I go to Cocoa Market, is that any different than if I, because in general my experience has been it's been a pain using a credit card. In Cocoa Market I try to use a credit card and it spends like 3 minutes filling out all the forms and entering my passport number.
What?
Stuff.
I've never had that happen at Coco.
So they also have to pay like 2-3% fee also.
You mean if you're getting like a rebate card or something there, or?
No, I mean I just tried to use my credit card and there's a certain minimal thing at Coco, and then they had to fill out a form. They were like hand entering it, and then they were typing stuff.
No. I mean Coco Mart, Pepitos, Bintang, all accept credit cards.
Yeah,
No,
it's been my
no
experience.
problem. So you may want to find out who you gave that information.
Maybe it's because I look Chinese. Maybe they have a different thing for people that look Chinese.
I'd go check my bank account if I were you.
They should cover.
My question
They should be outside.
does that mean you never use your debit card or like your cash card? You're always spending on your credit cards?
Correct. Absolutely. You never, ever use a debit card. If it's over $1, I put it on a credit card. Now, again, here where they charge you extra fees, obviously, I've used my credit cards less here than I have in the last 20 years. But yes, you do not. There's no benefit to spending money on a debit card. However, that was a very timely question, because we're going to talk about where debit cards may play into all of this. All right? So, has anybody ever heard of the term manufactured spending? Nope. Other than from well, you and I have already talked about this. Yeah. Okay. All right. This is where debit cards and gift cards play in. And so here's what you do. And this is my manufactured spending strategy. And again, where you're located and where you can do all this is going to vary by your geolocation. But here's your strategy. So what I do is I go online and I use a portal called giftcardmall.com. Yeah, we got a few Americans in here that, yeah, okay. You go to gift card, and there, what you're doing is you're buying debit cards with a credit card. So you are buying your cash with a credit card. Does that make sense? So now instead of, all right, so now you have a credit card. So now you have a debit card. But what did I just get through saying? Don't spend debit cards. You don't want to, because there's no benefit to it. Okay, so here's the next component, and here's the fun part. Now, what I'm going to show you now doesn't apply to just travel hacking. It's kind of a life hacking trick, but it's something that I learned that came out of this whole hobby. And that is, have any of you ever heard of the browser plugin called Cashback Watch? Anybody ever heard of that? Okay, well, you're going to go home, and that's the first thing you're going to do is install that on your browser. All right? And what that does is So it's a browser plugin, and wherever I'm going to buy anything, I don't care if it's Amazon or eBay or any retailer online that I am buying anything, I click here. It's still the wild, wild west with buying online, and every retailer is fighting for your dollars. So what they're doing, these are all referral programs. These are all cashback sites. And I've probably got about 10 accounts in different places, but you see the different amounts. So if you buy your gift card at giftcard.mall by clicking on yazing.com and then going back to the website, depending on what their cashback is, you will cover most, if not all, of the card fees because they're charging you. Well, at Gift Card Mall, I think they charge $6.95 per card, not per order, but per card. Well, that adds up a lot of money, and suddenly it's not free money. But if you buy it through a cashback portal, then in 60 or 90 days, you get whatever the percentage back is into the bank account, and you can just sweep that money right into your checking account. Are you guys with me?
I don't understand. What do you mean by buying a debit card?
Okay, how do you get your debit cards? Where do you get, is it your bank? It's from your bank.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the bank issued card. Okay. Well, you can also buy a debit card is the same as a gift card. So have you ever bought a gift card for somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's the same as the debit card. Okay? And at giftcardmall.com, they sell debit cards for every store under the planet, and they also sell them ones that you would give. In fact, the reason I do those, there's a reason behind that. They will engrave your name on it. And lots of times, at least in America, if you want to use a debit card, they want to make sure it has your name on it. And they will match your ID with your name. So here, you can order the card with your name on it, but the money didn't come from your bank. The money's coming from the credit card purchase that you just made. So now you've just purchased cash with a credit card.
So you're saying you're putting money onto the debit card by purchasing it?
Yes.
You like put $500 on it?
It's exact. You buy them in $500 increments is exactly what it is. Yes. So you don't get debit cards just from your bank. You can actually buy debit cards. It's a. You didn't know that?
No, I didn't.
You had
know
no
that.
idea.
No,
Okay.
no, no.
Okay. So and I have tended over the last year probably to use the Yazing portal. Now these little arrows, that means up to 5%. Most of them will either say, like gift cards or money transactions are only 1% or no cash back. So you have to read the fine print on those. Generally speaking, when I started in this hobby, we were getting 2% back on our purchases, which was really nice. Now it's down to 1. It's steadily been reducing. But so this offsets the costs that you're going to pay in buying the debit card with a credit card. Okay?
I have something to add on this one.
Sure.
It's a hack I've been doing for a couple of years. It's when you buy an Apple product in Australia, like a Mac or anything, there's a website where you get 2% cash back.
Okay.
And the thing with Apple is that you can just return it after 14 days. So every time I had a job or something where I needed a laptop.
Local, in a different location.
No, any location. I think Apple do it worldwide.
Okay, but I'm saying you travel and you may need a piece of
No, it's when I was in Sydney.
Okay.
So it's for my job.
Okay.
Sometimes I need 2 or 3 laptops, so I would just buy for this specific job 3 laptops, buy with the website, get 2%, and then send back the laptop, get the money back. But because I use a credit card, I never spend the money. But the 2% will still be there.
Now, that's interesting because in the United States that doesn't happen. And that's why they will wait 60 or 90 days before they'll release the cash because they want to make sure you don't return the product.
The thing with so it's a website, it's a different website. So it's like
It's not Apple.
it's not Apple.
Right. Okay.
So the 2% come from different websites. So there's a verification process between this website and Apple.
Right.
But the thing is not 14 days, it's like 7 days verification. So you will get the amount on your website.
Interesting.
And when you return the product, it's on the app.
Okay, so there's an Australian example of something that we can't do in the United States. So, and like I said, and the famous saying, and you'll see if you go start if you start joining blogs and reading stuff, you're going to see a very common acronym, which is YMMV. Does anybody know what that stands for? Your mileage may vary. And that is kind of the mantra of this hobby is we all have different situations and different financial things and whatever. So, but that's good to know. So they haven't caught up in Australia yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, in 1 year, I think I bought around 10 laptops.
Okay.
So
Okay.
and the thing is, for every job, I just need it for a week or something like that.
Okay.
So, and I charge my client for it as well.
God! Hey, that's better. That's lucrative. That's a form of travel hacking. If you're gonna make money and spend it on travel, then however you make it is, yeah, right. Not necessarily ethical, but you know, that's a whole nother subject. All right. So now here's the key, and this is where I hope that some of you reach out to me after you go home and do your homework and tell me how to do this. The key with those debit cards is to liquidate them. That doesn't mean go buy something else with them. It means convert them back to cash. And then with that, you'll go back and pay back the credit card. So in the United States, what we do is, well, for a while, many bank accounts were allowing you to deposit debit cards into them. I mean, that was easy, but the government kind of put a stop. In about 2015, January, the government started cracking down on a lot of this banking stuff, and so they stopped the ability to do that, to accept debit cards. But you may, in your country, find a bank that will allow you, like let's say you got a debit card or a gift card cash, and you don't shop at that store, and sometimes they may let you deposit it into the bank. I don't know what they'll do. What we do in the United States is we purchase money orders. Now, do you have money? You have money orders in all the countries, right? Okay. So what we do in the United States is we buy money orders. The post office sells them, and the Walmart sells them, and we pay for those money orders with those debit cards. Okay? A money order it looks somewhat like a check. It's a financial instrument. It's the same as a check, but it's basically, can somebody do a better description of a money order than I am?
It's just a payment for, there aren't checks in Asia, so that doesn't make sense really, but there's, it's creating a payment to purchase something. So you go in and say, I need to make a payment for $10,000, and you may not be able to do it directly. Then they give you a money order for $10,000, and then is able to go and purchase that directly.
It's like a guaranteed form of payment, whereas a check is not. A money order is guaranteed that the money will be good. Okay, so but you can get them in all your countries, right? Money orders? Huh?
Yeah, you get versions of it.
Okay.
Money
Sounds like a loan.
Huh?
Sounds like a loan.
It's not a loan.
But
You're,
you can get them in the UK.
I'm trying to think about it. I don't think
No, I don't think
Okay, but again, you know, every country has its own banking regulations and structure, and again, we're talking strategy, and I'm really interested to learn what some of you other find in other countries. So then I purchased the money order. Now that debit card, a money order is the same as cash. So I've now I bought money. I bought a debit card with a credit card, and now I've converted it back to cash. And then I deposit it in your bank account, so the money goes in, and now you go back and pay off the credit card. So when you say it's do you see how it's going in a circle? And there's a nominal cost to it, you know, like I said, roughly 10%, but now your travel costs you 10% instead of 100%. Is that making some sense now? Okay. And then rinse and repeat. Now, when I am in the United States, this is how sick I am, all right? When I go teaching skiing in Vail for the winter, I just secured it this morning, actually. I rented a place that's very near the Walmart store. And I will be I order the cards online, they come to me, I go to Walmart, I get my money order, it goes back in the bank. So, I mean, I'm going to hit the ground running for manufactured spending while I am in the States, which at this point is only going to be maybe a third of the year. But I'll hit the ground running. And so if you're a digital nomad, it might be worthwhile for you to spend a month or two in the States and do what I'm doing. Just an idea. Spencer, you can do that. You can do that. Where are my other Americans here? I'm sorry. But you said you're indefinitely here, so I'm not sure. But when you go home, now you have something to do. You have
Christmas 2018.
you have something to do when you go home, right? And if your family doesn't live near a Walmart, tell them to move.
That is not my idea of fun.
Yeah, right. I know.
Shopping at a Walmart.
Oh, it's the worst. If for those of you who don't know Walmart, they're the bottom feeders of retailers in America. It's how low can you go and how many people can you serve. They're gigantic stores. And I don't think I'd ever been in one until I started this hobby. And it's the only reason that I go there, but it serves a purpose. We all do what we have to do to support our habits. Some people drink alcohol, some people shoot drugs. I go to Walmart.
It is entertaining. Go to Walmart? Oh yeah. There's a site, peopleofwalmart.com. It'll change your life.
Yeah.
Really? It's a people of Walmart?
Peopleofwalmart.com.
Oh, okay.
Not suitable for work most of the time. So.
Oh, okay. No, it's an interesting experience, but it's all part of the fun. All right. And there we go. Okay, so let me make sure that I didn't. Yeah. Okay. Strategy 4 is shopping portals. Now, this is where again your cashback monitor plugin comes in handy. Because, and let me just show you this, for example. I will go to my, and let me just, okay, I'll pick Amazon for an example. Let's see here. Oops, wrong one. That was a bad example. Wait a minute, I didn't go all the way through. So what you'll see, and this isn't the right one, but if you scroll to the bottom of the Cashback Watch plugin, which again is just up here in my browser, if you go past the cashback, you'll get down and they'll start talking about American Airlines, Delta Airlines. So in other words, everybody is fighting for your dollar right now. Every merchant online wants you to buy that product through their portal. It's available from 20 different websites, but they're paying money to get you to buy it through their website. And so what you want to do is check here. Let's see if I can find something else that might be, if I can give you a better example. Oh.
What's the fee from the US? If you buy with a credit card, how much does the merchant have to pay the issuer?
Oh, that varies, but unlike here, the merchant pays it, not the buyer.
Yeah.
Right, and every merchant, I would imagine that Amazon and eBay pay very little. It depends on the size of the merchant. I'm not finding any. So some of these at the bottom, gosh, I need to find one that mentions, anyway, only because we're pressed for time. Am I not gonna, we're running out of time. But what you will find on many of these, it will stay a specific airlines, and it will send you to American Airlines, or it will send you to Southwest Airlines, or Delta Airlines, or whatever. And if you shop through that portal, then you get your 2x, your 3x, your 4. It's the multipliers again. So we can talk about stacking, which is that you use the portal, and then you use a card that already gets you 5x. I mean, you can really reduce your overhead quite a bit by this, in addition to getting travel points. So just be aware that shopping portals are also another way of getting points or cash back. generally speaking, and this is so generic, but people equate 1 point to 1%. So for example, if you go to a website and it says we'll give you 2 points, that's worth 2%. So sometimes you get and you go, well, let's see, do I want to get 2 points on an airline, or do I want to get 2% cash back? They're the equivalent, and you decide what's most valuable. Some people prefer to just do this for cash and take that cash and go spend it on an airline ticket. That, you know, that's perfectly acceptable. Okay, as we talked about this before, it's buy everything online using a cashback portal. Now, what some people do, and I'm not some of those people, but, well, I take that back. I've been known to do this. So you talk about the holidays. It's every holiday around the world, retailers are always running specials, right? And so, and I've done this. You go find high-ticket electronics. What I've done well with is routers. They're, you know, good electronics. They're $200-300, and you buy them when the office supply store has a 30% off holiday special. And the reason you want things that don't cost a lot of money to ship, so you want them lightweight. And then you literally post it on eBay before it even gets to you. So so you're flipping merchandise. Instead of manufacturer spending, so in this case, if you're reselling merchandise, you're actually making money or even breaking even, but now you got those extra points and they didn't cost you anything. So, you know, a lot of the Amazon stores that people are selling stuff at, they're basically finding the deals and then reselling them on Amazon or eBay for the profit, but they get points for everything they buy, and they make money when they sell it. So that's also another strategy. And then there's something called stacking, where you do discounted gift cards and shopping portals and other things. And I'll I won't go into this because I think this is just really advanced. But this shows you how I get 28% off every time I buy something at Home Depot. And I'm stacking it with, so you should all know about a website called Gift Card Granny, giftcardgranny.com. They're an aggregator for gift cards. And you pick any retailer that you shop at, and they're reselling gift cards. There's a huge market for reselling gift cards. People got the gift card, they don't go there and whatever, and you get a discount. So if you can go pick a store, you can find a discounted gift card. Then you also use, you are using discounted cash to pay at that merchant. You're using Cashback Monitor for the cash back. Find the best one, and then and then eBay also has 10% off coupons at Home Depot. So you stack all of those together, and I get 28. You know, the amounts vary. You know, you can sometimes buy Home Depot cards discounted at 3 to 5% or 5 to 10%. It varies by the day, but hey, it's a game. I mean, it's.
How much would you get back if you return the product? You purchase all that and you return the product, what would be left?
I will be honest with you. That in the States will work better than what you were describing that you do in Australia, because it's complicated and it's got multiple parts to it. My guess is in that situation, you would probably only lose the right here. You might lose 8%. You'd lose these two numbers right here. You still get 20% off. Again, eBay. Oh, I buy Southwest Airlines discounted gift cards. Those are discounted a lot online, not just through eBay and a variety of other places. I have a stockpile of Southwest discounted gift cards. All right, so now I'm going to talk about tools, and I have to do this really, really quickly because we're way over time. And all of these, by the way, are listed on the URL I'm going to show you at the end that you can go to and get more information on this. How many of you use a password management application? OMG, I want to see every hand and go up. And if this data breach in the United States with Equifax, where 50% of the population's social security numbers were compromised, if that isn't a message that you need to take control of all of your passwords, and every one of them should have a unique login, it's got a password generator in it, and this is only going to get worse. In fact, I wrote an article in 2014 that projected that this is exactly what's going to happen. I mean, there's so much data up there that people want, and anyway, so, and you never know when you're going to have a defector like Snowden, who decided to spill the beans on, I'm not against him, I'm for him, but you just never know who's going to be a defector and spill the beans in your company. So you've got to take control. Another little trick that I use, every place I log into has a unique email address. How do I do that? How many of you have a Gmail account? Okay, do you know, oh, most of you, okay, good, that, for example, I'll just pick eBay, and I'm not giving you my real one, but when I sign up for eBay account, my address is my real Terry A. Ross, plus. You put a plus sign after your regular username, and you can put whatever you want in there. So you can put eBay, you can put Amazon. So every one of my email addresses for my logins is unique. And that way, if anything, if somebody tells me we never sell our list, and suddenly I start seeing a bunch of emails sent to an address that was that specific website, I know exactly where that compromise came from, and I've got recourse against them too. That's illegal. I'm going to make some money from that one of these days. So my recommendation is, so by the way, when you put that, so if you go Terry A. Ross plus eBay at gmail.com, it still comes into your regular email account. So it's not like you're setting up a bunch of different email accounts. They all come into the regular account. And you can put anything you want after your name, after the plus sign, anything. But I recommend that you do that, because then again, if something gets compromised and they're trying your regular email address, but you're not using your regular email address, you have less chance of being compromised. And again, this is all exponential. I mean, between my travel hacking and my client website, I'm a marketing technologist. I deal with the internet all day long and lots of accounts. I've got, in my 1Password right now, I've probably got about 1,200 logins. I mean, they're not all mine. They're clients and stuff, but that's a lot of information. And I am still amazed at the number of clients that I have who use the same username and password on every single solitary account. And I'm like, I just get on my soapbox, and I can't believe that people still do that. But anyway, if you're going to play this game, you better get good at managing your passwords. Award Wallet is where I track every single one of my awards programs. I log in, it's all there. I have X amount of points here, I have X amount of points here, I have X amount of points here. So I have all of these listed with links on them at the end with the URL I'm going to give you. But that's a critical component to managing all of this. TripIt, I've used for years. I actually just used the free version. I did the paid version for a while, but I didn't need it. TripIt is where, so you know, you're traveling and you're buying this thing here and you're buying this thing here and your hotel's over here and you bought it at different websites, and it's like, oh my God, where did I buy that? When they come in, you forward them to TripIt, plans at TripIt, and they aggregate all of your travel plans in one location. And you have the app on your phone, and all your information is ready and at your hand. So that's a very, very valuable tool. File this. This is one of my favorites. So, you know, now I got a bunch of bank accounts and credit card statements that are coming in every month, and I don't want to have to go looking for them. With File This, I've linked all of my bank accounts, so the statements, all of my statements are deposited every month automatically in my Dropbox account. So I never have to go searching for a statement. When I want to do taxes or bank reconciliation, they're all in one directory in my Dropbox account. So that, again, is a real time saver. I happen to use Todoist. This is my task management system, and I have an entire section on, well, this one happens to be on manufactured spending, and anytime I see a little tip or a trick or something, or if it's for a specific trip, I will put it in there. I will put a date I want it to pop up, and it's going to remind me. So again, managing all of this stuff is a big component. My brain is useless. I couldn't even remember that I told you the story I thought I hadn't told you. I don't rely on my memory at all. So you don't have you don't have to have a good memory for this, but you really have to be organized. Yeah, so, you know, I knew this was, I actually need to delete this, but it was a way that I could have picked up 2,500 miles if my bag was more than 20 minutes late. And I set it up as a thing, and I timed it, and it wasn't 20 minutes late. But, you know, you don't have to remember this stuff. Just put it in there. Cashback watch, we've talked about several times. All right, so if you take that URL right there, yourcmto.com/travel hacking. That's where I'm posting all of the references that I've made here with links so you can get there real easily.
Do you have affiliate links to the sign-ups for different cards?
Maybe. Oh, there's no credit cards. There's no credit cards on there. I didn't list credit cards. But yeah, so that's how you can reach me. I have 2 Twitter accounts. This is my travel account. Your CMTO is my professional account. I don't use either that much, but this is the one that I use. So, you know, if somebody's running a contest and says, you post to your Twitter account or something, I don't want that in my business account. So I just kind of use that for promotions and that kind of thing. Or, you know, and I have a bunch of people I follow who are posting different things. Oh God, we haven't even talked about accident fares. Every once in a while, a computer system goes haywire, and you know, like a $5,000 ticket is available for $99. Okay, and it's a mistake fare. Okay, on that URL up there, I posted something called Scott's Cheap Flights, and they publish a lot of those, but a lot of them don't even make it to that. Some of them just come out on Twitter. So that's kind of where I follow that, because there's some incredible mistake fares. And if you, again, are a digital nomad and you have a flexible schedule, you know, you can that can be a win-win situation. So I've taught you what is normally 2.5 hour sessions in an hour and a half, and there's so much more to go over. I hope I've given you at least like I said, a summary, a strategy, things to think about when you go home. And can I answer any more questions? There's so much more to learn, but time.
How much time do you spend on the organization
That's a great question.
Like a full-time job.
No. I would say, well, in the beginning when I was organizing everything and setting up all these tools and stuff, you know, there's always a ground thing. I would say on average now, when I'm in the States and pursuing this, I don't spend 4 or 5 hours a week. And, you know, I've done the calculation with my hourly rate and I've been through all of that. And again, so your mileage may vary depending on what your income is and where you're going to travel and whatever. And the ROI is there for me. And again, I'm factoring in the tax savings of my having to earn the money and pay for the travel. That's factored into my equation. Anybody else have questions? No? I've overwhelmed you. It's a lot of food for thought. There's a lot of food for thought. So I tell people that in order to do this, you really have to have 3 things. You have to have a good credit rating. You have to start with one, or you're not going to get any good credit cards. You have to have time, because like anything, you know, nothing in life is free. I have people that are really interested in this, and then they want to come to my class, because I do a lot of this in the States, and they go, does it take any time? And I go, yes. So, I mean, you got to have time. Nothing in life is free. So you have to have a good credit rating, you have to have time, and you do have to be organized. So that's what the tools are all about. And so, you know, all of my credit cards, the way I manage, Spencer, I think you said you wanted to set them up as automatic payment for a variety of reasons. I don't. I have my monthly due date for all the credit. Now, by the way, so I may have 24 credit cards, but maybe a dozen of them are in what we call the sock drawer. You know, you got the sign-up bonus, and it's a 0% annual fee, and then it goes in the sock drawer. All right, you just don't use it. At all times, I've usually got about 4 or 5 credit cards on me. At least I did on this trip because I'm shopping at grocery stores and I'm buying airline tickets sometimes, and so I'm doing different things. But they aren't all active. So the cards that are active, I put in my calendar every month. It's just in there as a static alert every month when the bill date is due, and then I decide. And the reason I don't do automatic payment, by the way, Spencer, and the reason I got out of that habit was there's 2 cards that I use regularly, and that's the Barclay Arrival card and the Capital One Venture card, both of which are static 2% back on everything. And both of those cards have a program whereby you go find the cheapest airline ticket and the cheapest hotel that you can, and you pay for it with that card. And then what you do is, if it comes through as a category by the merchant as a travel category, it shows up in your Barclay account or your Capital One account as a redeemable purchase, and you can then pay for that ticket with the points you have in your account. So you buy the ticket. So that's why I'm saying sometimes the cash thing or the cash equivalent is better. So I use those a lot. They're also good. You can use both of them for Airbnb, for example. And I've used it a lot for Airbnb. So you don't want to automatically pay because then you're not redeeming points. It's taking money out instead of redeeming points. And you can only redeem points for, I think it's 120 days. So you kind of have to be mindful of where you're at and if you're going to pay for it with points, because otherwise you'll spend the points later on. But that's why I don't set up automatic payment, because I use those 2 cards. Anybody else?
Do you have an app to manage all your accounts? One of these apps where you take a picture of the credit card and then...
I do have one. I do have one. But as you know, I've been without a cell phone for 6 weeks. And it's coming at midnight on Friday night. I'm getting a new phone. Yes, I do have one. Well, what I do use for that is Android Pay. I mean, I have all of them in there. And in fact, I was using that in France. They all took I could scan it and pay for it that way, which was good because I'd lost the credit card, but I didn't want to be without it, so I didn't report it. I knew it wasn't. I knew where it was. I couldn't get it. So I continued to use it. Then after I was done in France, then I closed the card. But yeah, yes, I have one of those. Again, we're back to how much information do we want to have aggregated in one location, from the simple standpoint that everything is fallible. I don't care what they tell you. I mean, any of you are logging into any websites using the social sharing? Are you logging into sites with your Facebook account or your Google account or any of that stuff? Stop it. Stop it right now. You're getting on my soapbox about safe computing, okay? You need protection for safe computing, and that means the more accounts that you have linked together, especially linked to your social profile, and Facebook we know gets hacked all the time. So if your Facebook account gets hacked and you're linked to all these other things, I mean, people can be making purchases, all kinds of things. So no, do not use, don't use social sign-ins, please. If you've learned nothing else